Welcome back to the Grounded in Simplicity podcast. I am Danielle from The Rustic Elk, joined by my good friend Bonnie from The Not So Modern Housewife, and our new friend Alyssa from Unbusy. We are going to talk about finding your true self and why that's important to lasting change. So, Alyssa, if you want to introduce yourself and what you do.
And just ignore me.
Ignore Bonnie.
Sure. So I'm an introvert, God follower, and perpetual bookworm. Oh, and mom of 5. So I have 12 years experience balancing multiple kids while still getting time to recharge, which is why I specialize in de-stressing mom life so you can reach supermom status with ease and stop locking yourself in the closet for alone time. I primarily help introverted moms with larger families, so, anything more than 2 kids. And I've always been interested in minimalism and productivity topics, but I assumed that if I ever got to share those passions with other women to serve them, it would have to be as an empty nester. I'm thrilled to be able to share life simplicity with other moms, starting now instead.
All right. And so you help just introverted moms or any mom, or I want to learn how to stay out of the closet.
Yes.
Bonnie wanted to clean her closet the other day so that she could go stay in there.
I want to, and then I'm going to put a lock on it.
Yeah.
I just want to learn how to be an introvert and actually recharge with 3 kids.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Two extroverted sons and 1 extroverted husband.
Oh my. Yes, that sounds hard.
And then me and my daughter are just holding on for dear life.
Really? Elise is an introvert? Really?
Yeah. She's like me. She's a social introvert, but she needs the boys to break the ice for her.
Makes sense.
And then when she gets upset, she goes and hides in a small cubby space where no one can find her.
I want one of those.
See, we're on the
she can still fit underneath my bed. So
See, we're on the other end. We're almost all introverts. The poor couple of extroverted kids we have are always stuck at home.
I would say Trevor is a ambivert. He's kind of a little of both. Okay, so I
can be around people, but they exhaust me.
I can't be around people. I don't do people. That's probably why I met my husband on the internet, right?
Technically, me and my husband both had online dating profiles, and I had actually showed up as a match for him, and he thought I looked too weird, so he never made a connection. But we met at a bar.
That's a very extroverted place to meet.
Beer was on sale. That was literally the only reason I was there.
I'm old and I'm going to date myself, and I met my husband in a chat room, so there's that.
I mean, I'm not that old. I don't know. I mean, you met Trevor the same time I met Matt, so it's not like. I mean, you guys have only been married another year or 2 longer than us, I think. When did you get married?
18 years ago.
Oh, wow. You've been putting up with him for this long? No. I think
it'll be 18 years in December.
Okay, we're on 14, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like doing math right now. So anyway, moving on.
Okay. So, see, like I said, very, very informal. Okay. So what are some key points on finding your true self, Alyssa? And if we need to use these talking points on the banners on the side, just let me know when we get to those points.
Sure. So for your first talking point, going against your built-in design never works. Mm-hmm. So have you heard of Gretchen Rubin, Moderators and Abstainers?
No, I don't think I have.
So it's a habit forming strategy, but it's how to help you work with your habits instead of your habits always fighting with you. So this is the way I always help people figure it out. If you're trying to quit a junk food habit, do you throw it all out of the house so you're never tempted? Or do you tell yourself, one day a week I'm allowed to eat some, or every day I'm allowed to eat a little bit?
I threw it all out.
I tell myself after I eat all of this, I'm not buying anymore.
And then you go buy more.
Well, then my husband can buy it, but that's...
So for your next point, the difference between moderators and abstainers. So I'm like Danielle, I'm an abstainer. So if it's around, I'm going to eat it and probably eat too much of it. And I cannot comprehend the just have a little bit mentality. My husband is a moderator. So for those people, you never tell them that they're not allowed to do something. You just limit it. And that's what feels really healthy for them. So think of it if you want to exercise. For me, I have to tell myself every day I'm on the hook to do a little bit. Otherwise, I will start talking myself into every day's cheat day. Whereas for him, he says, but that's way too restrictive. I don't want to do it every day. And he picks when. But to me, that's exhausting.
It makes sense.
So you can do it for...
And that's interesting because I like to do stuff in moderation, but at the same time, I know that if I'm going to stick to it, I need to do it every day.
Like for cleaning, I have to have like
Oh yeah, I don't do that.
One cleaning. I have to have like one cleaning chore a day. Otherwise, I'll be like, oh, but today's busy and I'm not doing it today.
Right.
See, I just like hyper focus on stuff like that. Like if I have like a cleaning project or something and I know it has to get done, then I just like hyper focus on that one thing and then I don't get anything else done.
Right. Yeah, like today's the bathroom, today's the bedroom, like, or something like that.
Right.
Although I tend to be like, okay, today I'm going to write a blog post or work on the garden or do something outside and not clean the house.
Yeah. So because I think a lot of people's advice on habits and going with your personality, they just kind of project their personality onto you. And so they'll tell you that, oh, but you always have to have the cheat day in your diet, or you must always throw out your junk food. And it's like, but there's these two different groups of people that your advice is going to completely backfire. So I like to do this for like goal setting, getting the alone time, things like that. I can't say, well, I'll have alone time sometimes. I have to say I'll have the alone time every day so I can set up the routine. So if I want to lock myself in the closet, that kind of a thing. So the kids know every day they have to go be quiet in their rooms for a couple hours because mommy needs quiet time. So I frame it as, mom needs quiet time, whether or not they do. That way we're not bargaining, oh, but we want to stay out here and play a game today. And no, this is the routine.
Yeah, see, what my 4-year-old likes to do is he likes the emotional manipulation. So mommy needs alone time, but I love you.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
And for your...
We're still working on boundaries with
Yes. For your next point, the 4 tendencies and goal setting. This is, again, something Gretchen Rubin figured out. So this is for you and whatever kind of goal you're trying to set throughout the day. Anything you want to get done, or the business, or homesteading, or homeschooling. She said the 4 tendencies she found were questioner, obliger, rebel, and upholder. So the questioner runs around saying, I don't know, are you a good enough authority to tell me how to garden? I'm not sure I should believe you. Let me do my own research. And so they pick apart everyone else's positions, but they will eventually figure out something and they'll do it. That's because they figured it out. The obliger says, oh, I like gardening, but I'm not going to do it just for me. So they need a friend or a kid who wants to garden with them or something like that, because they won't do it if it's just their own goal, but they'll do it they hate disappointing someone else. So accountability is kind of a really key thing for them. The rebel says, oh, you told me I should have a garden? You will never catch me growing a single plant ever, period. So it's pretty much you tell them to do anything.
I like that.
Yes,
person.
They run far, far away from authority. So be very careful what you tell them you must do. And the upholder says, oh, gardening sounds good. I want to garden. Very well. I am going to garden because I said I was going to, and I always do what I want to do. So they basically have the easiest time goal setting because they just kind of follow through. But most people aren't like that. So most people's, I find the productivity and goal setting advice is just, oh, but set your goal. You should do it. Like, yes, that works great for an upholder. Not so much for everyone else.
That makes sense. So how do we find our tendency?
So that one is mostly which one sounds like you. What things you want to do in your life right now that isn't happening very much? Okay, just one thing.
I will say, I mean, there are certain things that I am a rebel about, but it's also one of those things where it's like, if it doesn't sound interesting to me, I'm just not gonna do it. But like, and I do well with accountability, but I don't like having accountability partners because, again, I feel like I have someone telling me what to do.
So I think this works best for figuring out if it's something that you personally actually want to do, and then we find the personality tendency that you are.
Well, I try to make Bonnie my accountability
like,
partner.
I do well with co-working groups. But then there's no one to hold Bonnie accountable, so it doesn't work. Okay, so I have ADHD. So I do well with body doubling. So it's like, I don't necessarily have someone holding me accountable to doing the thing, but just having someone else like on a Zoom call or in the room or whatever, like it makes me feel, it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming. Like it keeps me grounded. So then I'm more likely to get the task done.
I do well if I have like a partner. Like they don't even necessarily, like if Bonnie would, actually help me be accountable when I say, hey, I need an accountability partner, Bonnie. And you're like, yeah, that's a good idea, Danielle. And then it's like the next day you're like, didn't do anything. So I do well if I have like a partner.
I have to have someone remind me.
I do remind you. I do best if I have like a partner that can hold me accountable, but I only want to do things I'm interested in. If I'm not interested in it, then keep it away from me.
Sure. I think this is still focused on, it has to be the goal you want and then how to help you get there. So like I use that accountability thing in college. Like I said, yes, I want to go walking. But if it was just me, I could talk myself out of it. So I got a friend down the hall to go with me. So it wasn't someone checking up on me and saying, you better do this. It was simply knowing that she expected to go on a walk. And if I didn't show up and I stayed in bed, she'd be wondering where I was, So it didn't have to feel like someone else telling me what to do. It was just that someone's there,
Right. Well, I guess, we're talking more from a business perspective of, like productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And since some of Bonnie's stuff is not all online because she sells stuff and she's all cool and everything and has garbage all over her house because she stuff. She has to sell.
I think that might be the first time anyone has ever used the words Bonnie and cool in a sentence.
But since both of our businesses are mainly online and we don't have a boss because, we're self-employed and we're entrepreneurs and trying to find that, like productivity when you don't really necessarily have to be productive. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And finding that partner and accountability so that you can achieve whatever your goals are, as far as, in this case, your business without, she's all the way there and I'm all the way here. And even if I had somebody sitting right next to me, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to work. You know what I mean?
Yes. But I've heard it described as, even if, would it make sense to you like that shared co-working or the both on the Zoom call and saying, we're getting something done on the business? If that's enough accountability, or even telling the other person, hey, I'm going to try to, write the blog post or write the email or the sales page, that still functions as that obliger accountability. It's just doing it with someone. Instead of the upholder would be like, right on to-do list, write sales page. Oh, it's on my to-do list. Of course I'm getting it done,
I wish I was one of those.
And the questioner sits there and says, But do I actually need to write the email today? I'm not sure. Maybe it would be more important to do something else, but then they eventually still go get done whatever it was. They just,
Right.
push back a little.
And I find the whole, like shiny object
Mhm.
syndrome is overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah. I definitely think Obliger in online business makes things interesting or challenging to get that.
Yeah. You had
and then there's the tasks that will make you money, but they feel too big or too hard. So, let me knock this little stuff out. And then before you know it, like 3 hours has gone by and you didn't do the thing that you needed to do to actually make the money.
Mm-hmm. Because you sat there and edited your homepage for like 5 hours. Yeah. I have the same problem with the garden, though, like keeping up on the garden and trying to get all of the, like I need to plant this, or I need to harvest this, or I need to get this weeded, or, keeping it watered because it didn't rain. Alyssa and I were talking about that earlier. They had rain, and so she hasn't watered her garden. But trying to...
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to rain today, so I was going to water, and then I was like, oh, I guess I don't need to water anymore.
I watered mine because I don't trust the weatherman. Because it was supposed to rain, and it has not rained. But Trevor said it poured in Fort Wayne. So.
I've heard of some, interesting strategies for like the gardening produce thing. If there's something you might want to make with it. So if you tell like a family, we're going to have this on the menu X many days or weeks from now, then that's sort of like an external deadline to meet. If any of your kids really like picking in the garden, I know mine do. They fight over who gets to check the garden chore. It's, like if you can get them to be the accountability partner in the sense, we need to do this together every day. And then maybe they will be the ones saying, oh, hey, Mom, have we checked the peas yet?
Right. I guess, because we grow not just to eat fresh, but also to preserve it. And then I'll end up with like 50 cucumbers on my, and then, oops, I didn't do that. And then what do you do with 50 cucumbers that are starting to go bad, a day later?
Right.
You email your small group that you're bringing pickles?
Yeah. If I send my kids out to pick anything in the garden, they won't come back in the house with anything. They'll eat it all while they're out in the garden.
Yes.
Did you read that comment, Bonnie, on my group about that her kids just eat it on the plant and they leave part of it there?
Oh, jeez.
And so she was looking for a garden pest and it was her kids. Oh, I don't have that problem. My kids usually like pick it off.
I know mine picked my mulberry tree clean.
The whole tree?
Well, I mean, between them and the birds, but yeah.
Is it big? Our mulberry tree is huge.
It's not. No, it's a dwarf, so it's not like huge.
Oh.
And it's still like kind of a young tree.
Okay.
But still.
Ours are too small.
Oh, well, I didn't tell them that I ate the only peach.
You had a peach?
Oh, ours is still kind of short. I had a peach. My tree produced one peach this year, and I ate it.
Is it new, your tree? Is it one of the ones?
No, it's a few years old.
Oh, I thought maybe... No, you planted apple trees, didn't you?
Yeah, apple trees were last year.
Okay. See, we get off topic. Okay, so we had one point on here that we did not... I don't think we touched on the how to use your tendencies.
Yes, so I mostly use that for the productivity. Instead of using everything as that upholder-centric advice, just make a goal and make a plan and follow the plan. For a rebel, I usually say frame it as the opposite. Oh, people tell me to have a garden, but I actually want a garden, but I automatically push back from authority. Okay, can you flip it to everybody just goes out to the store and buys food, so I'm going to be countercultural and grow some of my own? That kind of, your own tendencies, so you actively work to flip the script on yourself so that you actually want to do it, and you can remind yourself about all the ways you are being different and standing out and not doing the norm if you do this thing that you actually do want to do, instead of reading all the advice that says you should plant a garden because then you'll, not want to plant a garden. And then the obligers, we've been talking about a number of obliger strategies of just having somebody else or someone else's deadline of, they're expecting you to show up and talk about how your lettuce went. And if you admit you never picked it, then that would be a bit of a downer. Or did you make a blackberry pie? Did you try the strawberry rhubarb jam recipe, or did you not get around to it? That kind of doesn't have to be super scheduled, but hey, I might bring some jam by, so you're not feeling like it's a really big burden, but you've also told somebody about it. It's not just in your own head. You can say, oh, well, it wasn't that big of a deal. I can just blow this off. Someone else said, yeah, I'd love to try some jam. I was going to make muffins. That would go really well together. And then you don't want them to miss out on their special treat. And then it becomes kind of a have to do. And then the questioner, they're pretty good at self-motivation, but they have to do all their own research first. So if you're a questioner, build in that time to say, okay, I'm going to start homeschooling my kids, but I'm not just going to accept the first 5 Google articles I find. I'm going to deep dive and figure out my own idea of homeschooling philosophies, and then I'm going to set it up the way I want to. So give yourself the time for you to come up with your own plan for it. And then, yes, you can make a plan and work off the plan. But you're just not going to take what anybody tells you as gospel truth. You have to decide on it for yourself, because you question everything, which means you question everyone else's credibility. And have they been homeschooling long enough that you should pay attention to them? And do they really understand what your kids are like? That kind of a thing. So give yourself a long...
That kind of sounds like...
runway research is what I would say. Yes, rebels and questioners have a lot in common. It's just that questioners eventually get down to business and stop the not going to do that, and they figure out their version of it, and they go ahead and do it. But they start off with a lot of the same, oh, you said I'm supposed to do that? Mm-mm.
Yeah, I find you're talking about this, and I see little bits of myself in like all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Especially depending on, like what the goal is and, what we're actually talking about. Because I definitely think that I homestead, part of the reason is because I want to be countercultural. I don't want to be like everybody else and have to go to the store and all of those things. And so I see, like a little bit of rebel and a little bit of questioner and obliger, but I'm definitely, what was the other one?
Upholder.
Yeah, I'm not one of those.
You'd have to read Gretchen Rubin's book. I'm not sure if she said that they literally were only 5% of the population or something like that. But if so, that means 95% is the other 3 types. So, but they're all the ones going out there talking about productivity and,
Right. And it's like, you would think that the whole world is extroverts. Mm-hmm. But no, they're just the ones that have the loudest mouths.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also the ones that are like, well, this is what normal people do. And if you were normal, you would behave this way.
Completely agree.
And so since we are not that way, we must be broken.
Yep.
Yeah. So if we figure out, can you be all 3 or 4 of those types?
I think reading her book, she said most people are typically 1. So it's what would motivate you, Danielle, in the garden? Is it reminding yourself it's countercultural? You don't have to go to the store. All you have to do is figure out something to do with the cucumbers? Or is that's nice? That's one of your whys for gardening, but that doesn't really get you off your rear and pickling them or whatever. It's what actually gets you to do it.
Right. I mean,
or does telling your kids you're having pickles next week.
Right.
Is that going to do it for you every time?
Or just the fact that she'll get really pissed off if all of those cucumbers rot on the counter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yes.
Or she had enough time to research her own recipe and say that she didn't have to make pickles because she didn't want to make pickles, but there was something else she could do with it, and she got to choose.
Hey, I did find a yellow cucumber relish that my sister-in-law gave me. I didn't even know it was a thing. It was from the Depression era.
Okay.
I mean, you could make a crap ton of tzatziki.
Yes, you could.
Yeah. I like that, but nobody else really likes it unless I'm making gyros, which, I never make. So, like twice a year.
Right. And you can only eat so much of it. And yeah.
Yeah.
You can use it as dipping sauce with the pita, though. Maybe the kids would go for that.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's the dill. They just don't care for the dill in it, maybe. I'm not sure.
Or you could take out the dill from the recipe, and if they like it, well, they used it up.
Well, then I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
It's got to have the dill in it. I find myself
use tzatziki to eat cucumber slices.
That's all you use it for?
Like most of the time when I buy it, that's what I end up using it for.
Just dip them in some ranch. So much easier.
Tzatziki's healthier.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. They're both, dairy.
Yeah, but the one's yogurt based.
Yeah, but
so yogurt's automatically healthier.
Yeah, the one is like heavy cream.
Oh.
We'll go with that theory.
I just find myself, like I said, you're talking about that, and I can't figure out what I think I'm more like.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Bonnie? What are you?
I'd say I'm probably dominantly questioner. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's almost like personality types where I think you can be like a certain percentage each one, but then one comes out more dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could try getting the book. Rubin is spelled Rubin, and it's just Gretchen Rubin, The Four Tendencies, and borrow it from the library and see. Because she goes, obviously way more in depth about all this.
Rubin.
Yes.
Okay.
It definitely sounds more relatable than the other habit training books that I've tried.
Yes, exactly. It's like this is habits for real people, not super productive people already.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out how to, as far as business stuff goes, like make myself accountable since Bonnie won't help me. No.
Well, like I considered myself a pretty organized person until like I got married and started having kids.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because as long as I could like keep my focus like narrow and kept my environment minimal, then it was really easy. Now, I mean, I still with that at not finishing projects, putting stuff off to the last minute, stuff like that. But I at least I felt like I had a grasp on life. Now, maybe not so much.
I don't have a grasp on anything anymore. I'm just... I can't even figure out what type I am. Like I said, I definitely think that I garden because I want to be countercultural, or, like we were talking about earlier before Bonnie got on here, before we started recording, about how I was told I should be a writer, and I'm like, nope, not going to do it because there's no money in it. And now, here I am. So I think, I have to find my own way and do it because of something that is against the grain, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, no, perfect sense.
Yeah. So if we figure out our tendencies and our,
moderator versus abstainer.
Yeah, then we can utilize those to
actually
meet our goals, and
to take a lot of the guilt off of it having to be the upholder, planner, fulfilling everything stereotype. Instead, you just shape it to you and how you behave, especially when you tack on the moderate versus abstain. You can find a rebel reason for cleaning, or an upholder reason for cleaning, or an obliger reason for cleaning. But do you clean every day, or do you clean once in a while?
Right. So a moderator would a moderator feels like they don't have to clean every day?
Yeah, they can pick and choose because they feel it's much more painful to be locked into absolutely always or absolutely never. And the abstainer feels like it's too much decision-making brain power to decide every time, am I doing this or am I not? So they just have to set it and forget it, whether it's the cleaning or the specific junk food or something like that.
Okay, so abstainers would do better like with a daily schedule?
Yeah, that's like absolutely the same almost as much as possible.
So do you think it needs to be a schedule or could it just be a routine or does it matter?
I think it could be a routine too. Yeah. Just the fact that you're not having to decide every day, should I clean the stove today or not? It's a, no, I am cleaning the stove today, period. And the moderator, they feel it locked them in too much. Just, do I have to clean the stove? What if I didn't make it very dirty? What if we had takeout and I didn't cook at all? Don't take away my autonomy and my decision-making power.
That makes sense. But what about, so we all have kids and we're trying to help moms. What about our kids? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would say that my middle daughter is more of a moderator, but my other two kids are definitely abstainers. So I'm an abstainer and I have to have a schedule. If I don't have a schedule, then things don't get done at all. So how could you cater to different children's needs?
Make the abstainers chores daily or at a set time of day. So they get in the habit of doing them. It's not, oh, this is your day to water the plants, but they only need watering twice a week. They're going to blow it off most of the time.
And then what about, so a moderator, I can't make her a schedule, but
yes,
can I suggest things?
I would think, yeah, suggest things. And when she gets older, maybe she can explain some of her reasoning to you. If you're like, this week I need you to do X, Y, Z, but you can pick which day and she can explain, I'm going to do it this day because. When they're younger, you may just have to rely more on the, okay, I didn't make it a daily chore. Sorry, tough luck. It's got to happen today.
Right.
I'm the mom.
Right. Okay. So the book was?
The Four Tendencies.
So I put the link, even though nobody will be able to click on it, but I can put it up there.
Yeah.
And they can copy it down. But tell us about where we can find you.
I'm at yourunbusylife.com, and I'll have a new podcast episode every Tuesday for you. And this link that is so gobbledygooky is the Supermom Sanity Jumpstart. So if you're exhausted from spending nap time cleaning up the house and you'd really like to get quiet and lock yourself in your closet, or not lock yourself in the closet, but still get it, as the case may be, Time for You Too is coming right up with this. So you'll get instant access to a 5-day jumpstart that teaches you the basics of getting time to yourself every single day, which means 5 days from now, you're relaxing at nap time without a care in the world until the kids get up or you let them out of their rooms. So what's not to love for an introverted supermom? Daily alone time.
I want some daily alone time. I don't ever get daily alone time.
Yeah.
Are you on social? Do you want to share your social media accounts, or are you not on social?
I'm on social. I'm not terribly active, so I don't actually remember my handles offhand.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you go to yourunbusylife.com and you'll find all the stuff.
Okay, sounds good. I'm glad that you came on. I'm definitely going to go get that book.
Yeah.
And I might make my older two kids read it so that they can tell me what they are.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, like I said, I'm glad that you were on, and maybe Bonnie will pop back up, but that's all right. And we'll definitely have to have you back on for some more helpful tips.
Sure, sounds fun. This was a blast.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Grounded in Simplicity podcast. If we were able to help you in any way, please share this episode with a friend and also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also join us over on Patreon at Grounded in Simplicity and help to support this podcast, as well as become a patron and get a behind the scenes look at the creation of our podcast and even have some input on future episodes.